Hello, I'm Melanie Tonia Evans, and welcome to this special video series called How the Phenomenon of Narcissistic Abuse Occurs and How You Can Overcome It. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to release a series of videos which explain precisely why narcissistic abuse affects you so severely at an emotional, energetic, and psychological level, and I want to share with you exactly how my healing model works. I'm also going to provide you with a demonstration so you can experience how my healing works firsthand. But first, I want to tell you why you should watch these videos. One reason is because the information regarding what has really happened to you and the healing solutions you're about to discover will be life-changing. Another reason is that if you don't find the true solutions in trying to recover from narcissistic abuse, you may be stuck in your trauma, pain, obsession, and addiction to the narcissist for an extended period of time, if not for many years to come. Ask yourself right at this moment, do you feel like an abandoned and empty soulless shell? Do you feel so broken, powerless, and anxious that you can barely function? Do you feel like no matter what you do, you can't seem to evict the narcissist from your emotions or mind? Do you feel yourself going back over the lies, injustices, cruelty, and betrayals that just don't make sense? Are you so devastated because someone who was meant to love you was capable of such atrocities? If so, you have all the common symptoms of narcissistic abuse. Even if you do walk away from the narcissist and create no contact, the effects of narcissistic abuse are far from over. The nightmares continue, the emptiness, the pain, the fear, and the trauma pounds away at your soul. It is akin to being raped at every level. You feel incredibly damaged, and as a result, you're at a high risk of being too fearful to create a new relationship, or you could easily attract another narcissist into your life. If you haven't healed from the abuse or understood exactly what your true liberation is, you could easily miss the warning signs again. You may not have understood that your pain, fear, and trauma are energetic. These feelings are emotional, they are not logical. Logically, why on earth would you feel so hooked into and obsessed with an individual who you know is so wrong for you? Yet you are obsessed and hooked in, regardless of any logic, and this is why no matter what you do, you can't seem to break out of the cycle. Until now, you may not have been dealing with this at an energetic level. Please let me explain energy to you, as well as why narcissistic abuse occurs energetically. To understand energy, we initially need to realize the physiology that occurs within our brain and the cells of our body when we undergo shock, pain, and trauma, which are all consistent side effects of narcissistic abuse. Every thought is an energy which fires off electrical signals via our brain neurons. What happens is we create painful perceptions regarding the awful things that happen to us. This is understandable. We're human, and when events in life don't turn out as we wish them to, it threatens our sense of self, our dreams, and every aspect of how we believed our life should be. At times of trauma, we suffer fears regarding our security, our survival, and our identity, and often these fears can run very deep and trigger our emotional fears from long, long ago. If we've known these fears before and they hurt us in the past, we not only experience this fresh wound, we resurface and rip open the trauma of old childhood wounds as well. Sensitive people who feel emotions powerfully and deeply have significantly magnified emotional experiences. The same can be said for those individuals who have had past experiences of trauma. The more emotionally charged we are, the more we create thoughts that go with our pain, and these thoughts may powerfully engender fear, dread, and powerlessness. Our brain is made up of billions of microscopic nerve cells called neurons. These neurons have tiny branches which reach out and connect to other neurons to form what is known as a neurological net. Our neurological net connections are formed by association. They're the information and the memories we have about specific topics which are interconnected. For example, the topic may be love. The associations may be pain, abandonment, betrayal, which is then linked to a specific person, which is then linked back to love. The perceptions we have to events in our life are very subjective. These are coloured by our past, which is our already established neurological net in regard to a topic. Without realising it, we expect to receive and experience the already existing pain, abandonment, and betrayal we've already established in regard to the topic love. Within our brain is a chemical manufacturing plant called the hypothalamus. This part of our brain assembles small amino acid chain sequences called peptides. Peptides are chemical formations which exactly match every emotion we experience. There are chemicals for anger, chemicals for sorrow, chemicals for rejection, chemicals for victimization and powerlessness, and for every other emotion in the human experience. When we create a perception and choose the associated emotion, our hypothalamus immediately creates the corresponding chemical, which is then released through the pituitary into our bloodstream. These assembled peptides then reach the cells in our body and dock onto the receptors on the outside of their cells and release the chemicals into each cell. If our peptides were created from perceptions of pain, powerlessness, and trauma, we may call these peptides victim peptides. When these manufactured peptides enter the cells of our body, it hurts. We all know what that feels like. And this is why people say, I would rather be hit by a baseball bat than feel this pain. If it's bad enough, our body aches, ice runs through our veins, we have no energy, and we might not be able to physically function. Certainly, in regards to narcissistic abuse, the intensity and the focus on the pain is unfathomable. No one could ever begin to imagine how painful it is unless they've been through it. We focus on this intense pain, and for many of us, the anguish of the emotional agony can take over our entire life. Regardless of whether you've become submissive and are severely depressed or are trying to fight back, emotionally you feel crippled. By thinking about and feeling the same pain day after day, you feel completely trapped and hardwired into victimization. Our brain neurological net by association becomes hardwired into patterns of pain and negativity because neurons that fire together wire together. Therefore, the associated pain that we suffer and continue to suffer, just thinking about it is enough, creates more and more neurological net association to the pain. Before long, we've set up a long-term association to victimization. If we continue to suffer every day, we create more and more reasons for the victimization as a result of hardwiring our painful neurological net every time we think about what hurts. An established neurological net is your personal identity. It's very important to understand peptides are highly addictive to our cells. The cells in our body have no preference over nice chemicals, yippee, such as love, bliss, truth, freedom, and joy, or the bad chemicals, such as fear, dread, injustice, abuse, helplessness, and pain. The cells in our body are totally unconditional. They never judge a peptide as good or bad. They simply get hooked on the intensity. Therefore, it is the largest rushes of peptides that get our cells' attention. If the cells are not receiving their addiction of choice, a little of the peptide will be held back by the cell and secreted back into the bloodstream. It then travels to our brain neurons, which then sends messages to our frontal lobe calling up images from the past. We start thinking the repeat painful thoughts in order to create more of the same peptide. Thank you, our cells say. I just received my next hit. As a result of negative emotional addictions, we spiral down into more and more fear, depression, anxiety, and powerlessness, not even realizing it's a natural cycle of cellular peptide addiction. How many people who experience narcissistic abuse proclaim, I can't remember the last time I felt joy, laughed, or looked forward to anything in my life? Narcissistic abuse creates feelings of being dead on the inside and being barely able to go through the motions. The more we're disconnected from our own power, mindfulness, self-realization, self-care, and self-value, and don't do anything to stop the addictive cellular cycle, the easier it is for our emotional body to take control of our mind and our life. This is why logic alone will not help you. Let's understand this. Emotions are not tangible, they are energetic. Emotion equals energy in motion. Emotions cannot be addressed logically. It's the energy of the emotion that created the peptide cycle and the resulting physiological, psychological, or compulsive addictive symptoms, such as loss of life force, inability to think straight and function, manifested illness and disease, depression, post or complicated traumatic stress syndrome, anxiety, and agoraphobia. Emotions are not physically definable, although they dictate and control our entire life in very real ways. Certainly during and in the aftermath of narcissistic abuse, we feel as if our personal power and self-control is virtually non-existent. If we don't have emotional mastery, our life spirals out of control. And we may not be able to stop ourselves from going back to more to the source of the addiction, regardless of how this addiction to a particular person is destroying our life. All of this increased powerlessness is physiologically occurring as a result of negative peptides that reduce oxygen and the ability to absorb vitamins and minerals within our cells. Each cell demands and gets more and more of the chemical that is destroying it. This breaks you down at every level of your being, throws you into a powerful addiction cycle, and creates you as helpless to stop the addiction to pain taking over your life. Most people are led to believe that talking about the pain, going over the pain, and receiving some logical solutions as to what to do will help. It doesn't. All it does is create more thoughts about the trauma, more peptide manufacturing, and more hardwiring of the addiction. This is why individuals that have been narcissistically abused often don't break free of their victim cycles months, years, and even decades down the track. They're still focused on, talking about, and intensely feeling their trauma, and as a result are still stuck in the emotional, mental, and physical symptoms of this trauma. Their addictive pain cycle has not been addressed and broken. To have this confirmed, all one has to do is visit contemporary narcissistic abuse recovery forums and read members' posts who years down the track are still stuck in their pain and have not moved on from it. Statements such as, "It's too late for me, my life is destroyed. My life will never improve, but at least I can warn others. Life will never be the same for me, I'm broken." You may also know how this feels. That feeling of the pain is not going away and I'm not getting better. Do not be led into believing what these forums purport, which is you will need to talk about your emotional pain as much as you feel compelled to in order to release it from your body and deprogram it. This is falsity. Your emotional addiction will want to indulge in this practice, but it will make your situation worse and not better. Yes, it is important initially to talk about what happened to you, get support, discover what a narcissist is, and know that you're not alone. This initially grants relief. But you won't move forward if you continue to stay stuck in the painful stories. We have all experienced people who can't let something go. We feel their energy is stuck, negative, and victimized. We know these people are not open to change, are not focused on breaking free, and are not positive enough to create something different in their life. Eventually, because their energy feels so heavy and so powerless, we find it very hard to spend time with these people. We fully expect the next time we hear from them that their life will not be any better. How could it be? In fact, time does not heal wounds for these people. Unless they make an effort to change themselves, they become more and more negative the older they get. Their emotional and physical pain may become unbearable, and medication may be the only way to get temporary relief at best, but never heals the real issues. Well, guess what? When you were narcissistically abused, you created massive amounts of victim peptides as a result of the horrific levels of trauma you experienced. Then you became hooked on these peptides and you were unable to get out of the fog. You became that negative person on the path of emotional addiction, deterioration, and self-destruction. Be very clear. Focusing on recalling the painful images mentally and reliving the trauma does not heal you. Please know that this information is not all about gloom and doom. My in-depth explanation of what happened to you as a result of narcissistic abuse is vital to lay the foundation so you can understand how to heal and break free. As you continue to watch these videos, you will understand how to reverse your addiction to the pain and trauma and release and eliminate abuse from your life to create the happiness and freedom you desire. Next week, I'm going to explain to you how narcissistic abuse affected your inner identity. Please make sure you check your inbox next week. If you are not yet a subscriber to New Life, you can sign up to my free newsletter via the link below. By doing so, you will receive an email containing the next video, and you will also receive 2 free ebooks, How to Do No Contact and Narcissistic Abuse the Truth. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this information. Please know that you are on the right path, and after watching the following 2 videos, you will see things much more clearly. Goodbye, and I'll see you in the next video.